I'm mailing it back with JAI Courtney. Look at this handsome man next to me. And he is starring in the Netflix series Stateless. Hi, JAI.
Hi, Robin. Thanks for having me.
Where are you?
I'm in Los Angeles,
Oh, okay.
LA.
So you did not go back to Australia when this whole thing started.
I didn't go back. I thought about it. But, it's funny because back home, I'm not, I've been living here for a few years now, a number of 7 or so. So it's kind of like when I go back to Oz, I don't have all the things that help you stay comfortable and independent. It's like I would have been crashing at my folks' place and renting a car, which, gets old. And thank God, because it's been, however many months we've been on lockdown now. So, yeah, I briefly considered it, but held out, and I'm glad we did. Although I am losing my mind currently. I'm well and truly over this, as I'm sure the whole world is. Yeah, but I did, honestly, I got to say, early on, I felt like this is all right. I felt like a bit of downtime. I was kind of thriving, focusing on other creative, exploits. But now I've reached total, I don't know what my purpose is in life anymore zone. So that's where I'm at now.
You've reached the tipping point, as they say.
That's it. Is that what they call it?
Are you with somebody at least? Are you holed up with someone cool?
We did one of those really, kind of smart COVID things and got a puppy while we were in lockdown. So she's been keeping us busy, which has been great. But yeah, certainly had our work cut out for us. One of those kind of crazy things where we were celebrating my partner's birthday and, we'd had a couple Aperol spritzes and then, the next thing we know, there's a dog in the house. So yeah.
Everybody's getting a puppy but me. I feel like I'm the only one who didn't get a dog.
There's still time. You can still get a dog anytime you like.
I want to see this puppy at the end. I want the puppy to make it.
I'll have to go find. She's in the yard somewhere digging holes, but I'll see what I can do to wrangle her in.
Oh, okay. That'd be great. So now for Stateless, you actually did go back to kind of near your hometown, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. In terms of the globe, definitely closer than we are now. But down in Australia, we shot in a pretty remote part of the country, in South Australia, kind of out on the edge of the Flinders Ranges, kind of real like Outback, really, kind of in the middle of the desert. And there's a great town out there called Port Augusta, which we were at, and that was kind of beautiful and awesome and very quiet and amazingly kind of iconic landscape. But yeah, it's always great to go home and work on something. Sometimes those things I get to go and do are uniquely Australian, and sometimes they have a little more kind of a global reach. And I think that's what Stateless does, whilst it takes place there and is sort of pulled from some true events. It's a story that really will resonate with audiences around the globe because it tackles an issue that countries all over the world are grappling with.
I know, it made me feel so lucky that I have a home to come home to, and literally for the last 3 months, as we were discussing before.
Yeah, that's so true. We really can't take that comfort for granted because so worldwide are suffering in situations where that's just not it feels like such a necessary kind of, well, it is such a necessary thing, and to not have shelter is pretty, it's a huge sacrifice. And, the millions of people worldwide who have put that on the line in search of a better life. It sucks to see that,
So now you're playing a dad, so you got good practice, Jai.
Plenty of practice. It's starting to happen. It's starting to happen a little more regularly now. I've played a few dads in the last couple of years, and it's like, okay, I guess we're in that space,
Time to make it official.
Yeah, soon enough. Indeed, soon enough.
So what was it like working with Kate Blanchett and Dominic West, who I have to confess I have a huge crush on, other than you, of course. So what was it like working with them?
It was awesome. They were so amazing. They deliver such incredible performances. Obviously, Kate is Kate's one of my favorite actors, and I hadn't met her. Obviously a fan of her work, as has the world, but had seen her on stage as well in Sydney when her and her husband Andrew were co-chairs of the Sydney Theatre Company and stuff through those years, and there was almost some collision of stuff there with him. I nearly was able to work with him a little bit, but it was an amazing opportunity. And when I first got the kind of call to take a look at these scripts, having her involved is, it's obviously a huge draw card, and immediately piqued my interest. And then to kind of, get into the scripts and see what sensitive and powerful subject matter we were tackling. And I was immediately intrigued and jumped at the opportunity. And the cast is incredible. I mean, there's some fantastic performances. Yvonne Strahovski as well.
Handmaid's Tale.
Handmaid's Tale. Yeah, huge fan of that show and her work. And it's actually the second time I worked with Yvonne. We did a film many years ago now. We didn't do any stuff on screen together, but we were in a project together. And so it was cool to kind of catch back up with her and see
what did you work with her on?
We did a thing called I, Frankenstein, a kind of genre piece a few years back, which we shot in Oz as well. It was, I think her work in this is phenomenal. And then obviously rounding out the cast, we have some amazing Aussie talent. Faisal Bazzi plays an Afghani father, refugee in this piece, and he's wonderful. And Asha Keddy, who's a kind of one of, our contemporary Aussie darlings in a way. She's very well loved and respected there. And so, it was great to go home and work with such incredible people and on such, with such incredible material.
So, I've always felt, Jai, that everybody knows each other in Australia because it's such a tiny little place.
Yeah.
So did you know, Kate? Did you know Yvonne?
No. Honestly, I mean, Yvonne and I had crossed paths, and beyond that, there wasn't anyone in the show. There was a friend of mine who plays a journalist in the show called David Meeks. He has a great thread with Ash's character. Dan Spielman, he and I did Macbeth together a few years ago in Melbourne on stage. And he's a good friend. But no, I mean, funnily enough, the circles do tighten up pretty quickly. It's everyone knows someone through someone else, I guess, is probably closer to the truth, particularly given the community of, artists that we're in. But yeah, no, it wasn't like hanging out with all my mates. But, that is the case now. If I was to see this crew again, we got along like, a bunch of houses on fire and had a ball doing it. Even though we're kind of tackling some pretty heavy drama, it was still a lot of fun on set. And have enormous gratitude for that group of people.
Now, I know that your partner comes from Adelaide. So did she join you on the shoot? Did you?
Yeah, she came out a bit. She was up there. She always visits, but and we're not that far from where she's from actually. So her family were pretty close by. But this was one of those shoots where the nature of just the way the production was rolling out and our kind of circumstance was kind of like I pretty much dug in, and we were out there for about 5 weeks in that particular part shooting those episodes. And sometimes projects are great to have family and friends around, and sometimes it's good to just kind of get stuck into the work. So this was less of a family holiday for us, and more of a kind of me just getting buried in the project.
You mentioned the Outback. Now, I've never been to Australia, and I'll tell you why. I cannot stand spiders.
And you'd be all right.
No, and I know I would get killed.
It's not like you go down there and you get eaten by giant spiders. I mean, we do have some. I'm not a fan of spiders either. I mean, that doesn't mean that you can't get away with it. You could have a lovely time in Australia and avoid any interactions with 8-legged creatures, I'm sure.
I think the virtual experience should be visit Australia. Don't worry about the spiders.
It should. Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, honestly, it's not a good enough reason to avoid it. Let me tell you.
So now you've got a bunch of other projects coming up that I want to talk to you about. Tell me where you are in these worlds.
Sure.
Jolt?
Jolt is in post-production. That's all I know, really. I don't know where that stands as far as release and stuff, or if there's a major plan around that. Obviously, this year derailed a lot of, a lot of different rollouts, although I'm sure who knows? I mean, they might drop it later in the year. I don't know. Someone, if they're listening, probably has more information on that than I do. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Kate Beckinsale, Stanley Tucci, Laverne Cox, Bobby Cannavale, like awesome cast. It's a great fun kind of action comedy, I guess. Yeah, I had a great time on that. It was a lot of fun. And I got to reunite with Tanya Wexler, who she's directed it, and she directed me in Buffaloed, which came out earlier in the year.
Buffaloed. Buffaloed was so good. I saw that at Tribeca.
Right. Oh, cool. Yeah, it was I had a ball working on that as well. And so Tanya invited me back, which was great. It was cool to kind of go back to back with someone like that and work again, which is not something we're afforded to do very often. So yeah, a lot of fun.
And you got to work with two of my other favorite older male actors, Liam Neeson and Michael Douglas.
Oh yeah. Oh well, Michael, I haven't worked with. That's a project that hasn't quite come together. I believe I know the one you're talking about. But
it's called God 4.
Yeah, I don't know where that stands, to be honest. That kind of got lost. I'll be honest with you, got lost a little in like indie space. That was all set to go, and then I don't know. They ran into some stuff around maybe finance. But I was really looking forward to doing that. I was prepping, and it's kind of weird to talk about something that didn't happen, in that sense, because there was so much pouring into the preparation for that. But anyway, maybe it will. Who knows? I'd love to work with Michael Douglas. Fantastic, but haven't yet. But Neeson, we shot a movie called Honest Thief when was that? Gosh, end of 2018 now.
Wow, and it's finally getting a release.
Coming, yeah. A little. Well, I guess far out. Nearly, I guess 18 months after we finished it, it'll be out, which is not that uncommon. But we've got a great release date in September, and I'm pumped for that. Good theatrical release. Liam's, we all
very tall.
He does what he does so well. It was so much fun to be. He's kind of got his own genre in a way in this sort of, latter part of his career. It's like, I don't know. There's like sort of certain things and guidelines that define a Liam Neeson movie, and I think we hit all those. On the head. It's cool. It's a lot of fun. I won't give too much away, but I might be dipping back into my villainous roots, which is where things sort of started out for me in film. So, yeah.
So speaking of villains, you're also reprising Captain Boomerang. Yeah.
Indeed. Yes.
Indeedy.
I don't see him as a villain though. I see him as just like, he's a good guy. He's the one you need tackling spiders for you down in Australia.
How many pink unicorns did you get as a thing, like over the years because of that character?
I've got a garage full of them. Yeah, it's a huge stash, plush pink unicorns. No, that was fun. We'll have to see if the pink unicorn makes it into the second movie or not. I can't reveal that, of course. There's not a lot I can say. I get so nervous talking about these Suicide Squad movies because we get, we're like bound to secrecy, and we sign our lives away with these kind of NDAs and all that sort of stuff. And then you find yourself casually having a conversation with someone you love and trust as yourself, and it's so easy to just let details slip. So I'm pretty. I have to bite my tongue.
Well, I know this one is called The Suicide Squad.
Correct.
Like there's a that makes it different.
There's a that makes it different. Yeah, I think probably that's some sort of, there's a few mixed ideas around whether it's a sequel, is it the first, is it the second, is it, and I guess the easiest way to describe it is it kind of it stands alone in a sense. It's not as though the first movie doesn't play into this, but it has its own kind of narrative, and there's a lot of new characters and obviously a lot of old ones too, but yeah, it's just kind of a bit of a different feel on it. And James Gunn, who we know is amazing, really created a world that's a lot of fun, and I'm sure audiences are going to have a great time with it.
Now, Now, when you started out in your career, you did a lot of voiceover work, yeah, and sort of characters. And I noticed on your IMDb, you've done a lot more.
A few. I've had some chance lately to do some animation stuff. I just got, I did an Aussie animation called 100% Wolf, which dropped down there just recently, which was a lot of fun. I hadn't been back in the booth to do anything like that in quite a while. So yeah, it was awesome. It was good fun. It's totally different, like atmosphere, creating a whole character, and you know, I recorded the whole film in well, essentially what's a few hours really over a couple of sessions, you know, which was bizarre. So it was cool and really different and interesting to sort of be involved in that part of the process, and then sort of not worry about it for so long, and then be able to see the finished product, which was great.
Do you actually change your voice? Like, did you become a different character?
Yeah, well, I play a werewolf, so I kind of, you know, you kind of have to embody that, and that's the interesting thing about it, which I found different and challenging in a good way, is that there's so much to find that's just your voice, you know, and you're kind of in there. You're, you know, it gets pretty animated physically in the booth anyway when you're recording, but you know, you have to find ways to kind of deliver the same sort of performance, only using, you know, one sort of element of the whole vessel, I guess.
Kind of looking like a werewolf these days with your
always trying. You know, I got the COVID like mullet going on and the mustache. My mum is like totally perplexed as to what my motivation is, and it's purely because I can right now. So that's why.
I actually got my hair cut. It's crazy. I allowed my niece to cut my hair, which was
wow,
nerve-wracking.
It's brave.
Less.
That's better. I've been doing my own, so you're doing a lot better than I am. That's for sure.
So tell me, what do you want audiences to come away with from Stateless?
From Stateless, look, I think. Well, I think what our hope is that it pushes the conversation forward. I mean, what Stateless does so wonderfully is it humanizes an issue that is, you know, that the world is grappling. That question of, you know, how do we sort of support people who are searching for a better life and protect them whilst protecting our borders and, I don't know, maintaining a sense of humanity. It's kind of a really complex discussion. And I think, you know, Stateless doesn't really take a hard political line with it. It's more about cracking it open and looking at it from a multitude of perspectives, which we need to in order to educate and to kind of push things forward. So, you know, I hope it does that, because we do need a lot of reform in the systems. And I don't think that, you know, there's one kind of answer to it all. So it really is just about providing some education and perhaps shifting some perspectives so that, you know, audiences are able to see things from someone else's point of view, which it's really easy not to with these complex issues and just kind of worry about how it affects us. And you know, when you're talking about 70 million people worldwide who are displaced, that's something insane. That just affects us. You know, it affects everybody, and it's a humanitarian issue, and it's huge, and it isn't easy. It's not an easy thing to solve. No one's saying that, but I think Stateless will help audiences engage with that and humanize it, and yeah, change some attitudes.
Well, Jai, it was so much fun spending this time with you. Go get a haircut. Go walk the puppy.
Yeah, she's gone. I got no idea. You don't want me chasing her for the next 10 minutes. Thanks, Robin, so much. I really appreciate it.
Great to see you.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Always news. Always refreshing. Always candid. Always milling about. Robin Milling delivers what celebrities are saying to you.